Hi everyone, this is Miss Boos, and I'm here with this week's Read Aloud. So this week we're going to be reading and looking at the story elements of a fiction story. So the story elements of a fiction story are characters, setting, problem, and solution. So for characters, that answers the question of who is the story about? Setting answers the question of where and when the story takes place. The problem answers the question of what is making the characters sad or mad. And the solution answers the question of how does the problem get solved? So today we're going to read a really silly story that will help us look at the different story elements and help us figure out the characters, setting, problem, and solution of this story. And today's story is called The Tiger Who Came to Tea by Judith Kerr. The Tiger Who Came to Tea. Just looking at the title and the cover art, I can already start to answer some questions about the characters, the setting, and in my brain I can think about what might be some problems in this story when a tiger comes to tea. I can think of a couple. The Tiger Who Came to Tea by Judith Kerr. That's a cute picture. All right. Once, there was a little girl called Sophie, and she was having tea with her mummy in the kitchen. Suddenly, there was a ring at the door. So I'm thinking in my brain, I know that one of the characters, one of the people who is in the story is the little girl named Sophie. Can you think of another character who's in the story? Also, I can think of where they are. Well, they're having tea in the kitchen, so that's one of the settings. They're in their house, and one of the settings is in the kitchen. Sophie's mummy said, "I wonder who that can be. It can't be the milkman because he came this morning. And it can't be the boy from the grocer because this isn't the day he comes. And it can't be Daddy because he's got his key. We'd better open the door and see." That's another thing about this book in terms of the setting. I think that this book takes place a while ago in the past because we don't really have milkmen anymore. So that gives us an indication that this story took place a while back. It's from a different era or a different time. Sophie opened the door and there was a big, furry, stripy tiger. The tiger said, "Excuse me, but I'm very hungry. Do you think I could have tea with you?" Sophie's mummy said, "Of course, come in." Oh, interesting. So here's another character. So far we had Sophie and a couple of other characters. All right. So the tiger came into the kitchen and sat down at the table. Sophie's mommy said, "Would you like a sandwich?" But the tiger didn't take just one sandwich. He took all the sandwiches on the plate and swallowed them in one big mouthful. Oh! And he still looked hungry. So Sophie passed him the buns. That's funny. So now we know the characters. We know the setting. They're in the kitchen of Sophie's house. And I think I might have an idea about what the problem might be. If a tiger comes to tea at your house, what might be the problem? Think in your brain. What kind of problems might happen? Oh, looking at this picture, I see another clue about what the problem might be. What does it look like the tiger's doing here? What do you think the problem is? But again, the tiger didn't take just one bun. He ate all the buns on the dish. And then he ate all the biscuits and all the cake until there was nothing left to eat on the table. So Sophie's mummy said, "Would you like a drink?" And the tiger drank all the milk in the milk jug and all the tea in the teapot. Wow. So they were so nice and they invited the tiger in, but he is eating all the biscuits and eating all the buns and eating all the cake and drinking all the tea and drinking all the milk. Does that sound like a problem to you? And then he looked around the kitchen. So the tiger's still hungry. Look at that face on the tiger. That's a really interesting detail. I wonder what he's thinking with that face. He looked all around the kitchen to see what else he could find. So the tiger is still hungry. If you think you know what the problem is, if you think you know what's going to make the character sad or mad, go ahead and think it in your brain. Let's see if you're right. He ate all the supper that was cooking in the saucepans. Not going to have any supper. And all the food in the fridge. Oh no, they're not going to have any food in the fridge. And all the packets and tins in the cupboard. Oh, that tiger, and look, there's his smile again. Silly tiger. And he drank all the milk, and all the orange juice, and all Daddy's beer, and all the water in the tap. Oh no, this tiger is very hungry and very thirsty. So if you think you know the problem, let's see. Then he said, "Thank you for my nice tea. I think I'd better go now." And he went. All right, there goes the tiger. If you think you know the problem of this story, what's making the characters sad or mad, go ahead and say it now, and I'll give you a second to say it. All right, let's see if you were right. This is a really good clue. This is the mom, one of the characters, Sophie's mummy, and she looks pretty sad. She looks a little bit upset and maybe like she doesn't know what to do. She just doesn't know what to do next. She's looking around at this kitchen. Let's see if you were right about the problem. Sophie's mummy said, "I don't know what to do. I've got nothing for Daddy's supper, and the tiger has eaten it all." And, here's another part of the problem. And Sophie found out she couldn't have her bath because the tiger had drunk all the water in the tap. Another problem. All right, well, a lot of times in a story, this is why these are the story elements. After we find out what the problem is, then we can look for the solution. How does that problem get solved? So let's see how in this story they solve the problem of the tiger coming in and eating all the food and drinking all the drinks and drinking up all the water for Sophie's bath and making a mess in the kitchen. Just then, Sophie's daddy came home. Oh, interesting. This is another character. So, Sophie and her mommy told him what had happened and how the tiger had eaten all the food and drunk all the drink. Oh my goodness. So that was one part of the solution. One way that they solved the problem was by doing what? Think in your brain or go ahead and say it out loud. So one part of the solution was they told the dad who just came home, he hadn't seen the tiger, they told the dad what the problem was. And let's see what the rest of the solution is how do they solve the problem and go from being sad to being happy again. And Sophie's daddy said, I know what we'll do. I've got a very good idea. We'll put on our coats and go to a cafe. Oh, so it's okay that they don't have any food because the tiger ate it all. They're going to go out to dinner. So they went out in the dark, and all the street lamps were lit, and all the cars had their lights on, and they walked down the road to a cafe. And they had a lovely supper with sausages and chips and ice cream. I think they're pretty happy now. I think that solved the problem. In the morning, Sophie and her mommy went shopping, and they bought lots more things to eat. Oh, that's another part of the solution. So they told the truth. They came up with the idea of going out to dinner, and then they went out and bought a lot more food. And they also bought a very big tin of tiger food in case the tiger should come to tea again. But he never did. The end. Wow. So Miss Spruce really loves that book, and I love this book because it's so silly, and it's a great example of what you can do with your imagination when you're telling a story. And it also shows us all about the story elements, because in this story, it's very easy to see the characters, the setting, the problem, and the solution. So today, when you're reading, and every day from now on, when you're reading a story that's fiction, look for those story elements: characters, setting, problem, and solution. And when you are writing, whether it's a personal narrative about something that happened to you, or if it's a totally made-up story, a fantasy story that you are writing, you can use the story elements to help you structure your story also. All right. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys are staying safe and staying well. I miss you very much, and I'll see you soon.